Inktober is over. I'm so happy I could cry. Hello to my 251 subscribers. I love you. If you've been actively following along on all my socials, you know that I turned all of the prompts into panels for a 31 panel comic. So I'll be going over the process that I used as well as the materials, such as a kneaded eraser, a discontinued architecture drafting pencil, and the most important part of Inktober, which is the inks. My favorite brand is Wearingeul. They take classic literature pieces and turn them into inks. The brothers Karamazov is one of my favorite books, and wow, look at all the ink I used. Inktober is an exercise in creativity, giving you random props and seeing what happens. As much as I like that, I thought because I'm an aspiring comic artist and I have comics I'm working on, what if I took those prompts one step further and turned it into a coherent story? I already had these 4 characters that I've been thinking about but hadn't done anything with, and after I saw the prompt Arctic, I knew that it was time. So here are some of my first initial sketches. Ignore the random crap. There's the first version of Asda and then Kisame there. First sketches are looking a little rough now. So I wrote down all of the prompts off to the side, and when I'm coming up with a new character, I think of their ethnicity and where they're from and come up with common and uncommon names and just kind of go from there. Right now you see my actual comic book script. It's nothing fancy. You just have to write down panel by panel what's going on. Generally what I do then is I do a map out or the thumbnails of each page and I see how the panels are going to flow. Now, because I was doing it a little bit different for Inktober, I tried to take it one day at a time and make the panel day of. Because again, the challenge is to draw something every day. I didn't want to get ahead of myself. I definitely got a little bit behind, but we'll get into that later. So let me actually show you the character sheets that I made before I did the thumbnails. Got a little bit ahead of myself there. Sorry, guys. Here's my first character, Nagamo. His name means he sings. He's an Ojibwe Native American from Canada, and he's a skinwalker. Not to be confused with a Wendigo. That's part of his backstory that I'm not going to get into right now. I wanted to share some of the reference images I found. These were found using a simple Google search, a Navajo skinwalker or Ojibwe traditional photograph, because my goal was to use actual pictures of these people from as close to the time period as possible. Next up, we have Kisame. He's a Kalapuyuk, which in Inuit folklore is traditionally kind of a female-looking monster that steals children off of the shore who don't listen to their parents and turns them into slaves. Kisame's backstory is that he was one of those children, and he eventually escapes and is collected by Asda, and that's why I put her in the character sheet. She likes to weave, and that's where he first meets her on the shoreline. But there are 2 references I wanted to share. The first one is John Bauer's art. The first art piece of his that I ever saw was on this YouTube video for the Swedish folk song called Hermanalik. But I found out he was a Swedish painter and illustrator who mainly focused on landscapes and mythology. And in the process of looking up reference images of mermen, his art popped up, this piece right here, and it felt like it kind of all came full circle for me. So here are 2 of his other images that I used as reference for Kisame. The other reference that I want to bring up is this .ca for the Canadian Encyclopedia. .ca meaning .canada, i.e. .gov. And something I like to bring up whenever and wherever I can. When you're in a research process, the best place to start is some sort of government website. Because the government, unlike a .com, .commercial, isn't trying to sell you something. So you want to start with your most unbiased and then go from there and then filter through and figure out what the biases are. I really like this website because it's comprehensive and the animations are awesome. This one right here, the one I watched up at the Kalapuyuk, was made by the National Film Board of Canada and the Inuit Broadcasting Corporation. So they found people who actually knew what they were talking about and could be respectful and give you a lot of good information. Moving on, we've got the next character named Harlem. He's a Romanian vampire. His name means to shine from happiness. And yes, I absolutely named him ironically because Harlem's life just seems to be one big f*** up. No matter what Harlem does, he always falls in with the wrong crowd. And this is why he's seeking a fresh start in America. He, however, runs into the infamous Hart brothers. If you don't know who they are, here's a really great video you should watch about it. That's actually where I first learned about them. But then Harlem eventually gets away from the Hart brothers and he runs into Asda and she adds him to her collection of monsters. Now, here are the reference images I used. I think this one's really cool, traditional Romanian clothing. And then the other one over here, I don't want to actually put the image on the screen because I don't want to get in trouble with YouTube. But if you look up pictures of not alive anymore gunslingers in the Wild West, outlaws, you may or may not be able to find pictures of certain individuals in coffin-shaped boxes. I could have gone with the traditional vampire in a coffin, but where's the fun in that? Onward we go! So this is Azda. Her name means woman, and oftentimes the Navajo people would name their children who were sickly woman or elderly woman or man, elderly man, in hopes that they would actually grow into that. So Azda was a little bit sickly when she was a child, but her mother turned to dark magic, which is where she kind of gets her rep and then eventually turning into a witch. And her logic behind collecting these different monsters is she has to protect herself somehow, especially because the Wild West has become so wild. One of the monsters she will end up collecting is Billy the Kid, and that's actually where this idea kind of started, because if you guys look up a picture of Billy the Kid, his face wasn't right. So I'm like, oh, he was a monster, and devolved from there. Okay, enough backstory. Let's look here at the book. So this book is handmade. It's bound in leather, and then all of the pages are handmade as well. And my mom actually bought it for me at a Warhammer convention when she was visiting my brother when he was competing there. My life is random but very cool. I love being an artist. Let's get into the art. Day one's prompt was mustache. Harlem has a mustache, so of course it had to be a close-up of his face. Pretty self-explanatory. The next prompt was weave, and I thought that it would be cool to show this traditional Navajo loom and the fact that Azda likes to weave. I'm really happy with the background. I'm glad that you can tell that it's water versus ground versus loom. Next day, the word was crown, so of course Harlem had to be asking Azda whose favorite was. Notice the ink splotch and the fact that the perspective angle is off. Who cares? It still looks cool. Day 4 is murky. I'm so freaking proud of this page. I've never drawn underwater like that wasn't digital, and I think it really reads as underwater. I also like my little sketch. I just, my thumbnail versus the actual one. Next day was deer, and I thought the perfect skin for Nagamo to be wearing when he's introduced is a deer skin. And yeah, their silly little interaction. Kissimmee creeping in the background. Harlem scolding Nagamo. Hey, one of these days Andre's gonna pierce you through the heart. The word was pierced for that day, by the way. Yeah, I think it's just really fun kind of seeing how these characters are already starting to interact with each other. This page, I'm so proud of it. I think Kissimmee looks absolutely gorgeous. I like how expressive Harlem is, and I also really like that Nagamo's rolling his eyes. That word was starfish, and then we go to the next day, and they all look like small little beans who are very confused. Yeah, the word was reckless, so Kissimmee is making an argument for his statement that, hey, it's less reckless, why are you guys giving me that look? Very, very cute. Alright, so this one, the word was heavy, and Nagamo feels the weight of his very existence. It's not fun being a skinwalker. And initially I wanted to do a different perspective angle, but I wasn't happy with the reference photo because, spoiler alert, I had to use myself as the reference. So then I drew a different thumbnail, and I actually like the vibe of that a little bit more. What's really cool about this paper is that it's not completely flat because it's handmade. So if I'm not careful, my dip pen would actually catch and rip the paper. I used that to my advantage on this page. I wanted to convey that emotion that he really gets beat up being a skinwalker, and it's not an easy plight to be given. And then I kind of carry that over with this next day. I'm really happy with this page. It's very tender. You know, he's been hurt so much. An arrow in the back is nothing. He's had worse injuries. Also, look at how freaking pretty this ink is when you layer it. It gets almost this magenta or pink hue. Yeah, next day, Just really wanted to hammer it home that the skin is shredded as if you didn't see it from the previous couple of pages. We've got another page with me drawing water. I am very proud of how this looks. Hands are my favorite thing to draw, but I was uncertain if I was going to be able to convey its water. I'm not sure that Nagamo's reflection looks great in it, but yeah, and then we finally see Nagamo got a huge gash in his stomach, and Kisame seems to be the only one who notices. And to that, Nagamo flicks water in his face. See, flick, just like that. I really like this page spread because Nagamo's kind of hitting Kisame, and then if we go to the other page, Asda's slapping Harulem's hand away. I think it's a really good flow. I'm an Aries. My characters have to be mean to each other. Otherwise, they're not really living. At some point, I got like a day or two behind, and that started really getting to me, and this page gave me hell, you guys. And because I wanted to keep everything coherent and in its correct order, I couldn't just skip the damn page. So it's a little bit wonky, whatever. These next couple of pages, they're okay. They're just okay. I'm not 100% happy with them. But you know what? That's something that's very important, especially in this challenge. You have to work through the days that aren't your favorite to get the days that are your favorite. I think this flow with Nagamo, kind of showing him being a little bit normal, and then I kind of wanted to give this feel of the dark magic starting to flow and kind of how ravenous he looks when he transforms into whatever animal. The point being, you don't want to mess with him. And I think I conveyed that pretty well. Now, this is one of my other favorite pages, this one right here. I absolutely love the pose. I love the flow. I love what they're saying. And this right here, this little wolf design, I'm gonna insert the website that I found it from. I actually learned about formline art when I was in elementary school in Oregon. It's funny what sticks with you from your childhood and how it ends up resurfacing later in your life. They have this amazing article about the formline art style and also a tutorial on how to draw the wolf head. That's where I got it from. You should check it out. And before you say Kisame and Nagamo are not from the Pacific Northwest tribes, on their travels down, they ran into the tribes, and because art is meant to be shared, they learned that art form. I got you, I did my research. Kisame and Nagamo are having their interaction, meanwhile Harulem and Asda are being so delightfully wholesome. Button, who's got the button? So our interactions are now beginning to change from getting to know the characters to knowing kind of what's going on in the environment around them. They have some enemies. Nagamo refers to them as fireflies. That's the Ojibwe word for it right there, because they're always starting fires. I'm so proud of this page, you guys. I just love the emotion and how every single one of the characters looks awesome. Nagamo's head is maybe a little bit small, but I can forgive that. So I mentioned that I got behind, and this day is the one that I used to catch up, and my god, did this page suffer for it. It looks absolutely horrendous. There's nothing redeemable about it, and had I waited the next day and thought about it, I could have just made Harulem and Asda's eyes mirror the next page. But something funny though, I drew this tiny little thing for my friend Shark Boy. Who's that, you may ask? Well, he's my friend who's working on an unreleased manga series. I think he has a one-shot out already. I'll go ahead and put a link in the description and put it on the screen for you as well. He kind of approached Inktober in a similar fashion that I did, where he used his own original characters, and I just thought that that made this experience that much more special because I got to see his progress every day. And it's like his drawings just kept on getting better. And I feel like that kind of happened with mine for the most part, except for the days where I failed. But here are some of my favorite days. I'm just kind of putting them on the screen for you. I bring this all up because I just wanted to say to any artist out there who's watching this, once you open yourself up and you make other artist friends, it's really cool to see what you guys make either together or just happen to be creating at the same time. Super cool. So thanks for doing this challenge with me, and let's look at the rest of my silly little days. And don't forget to follow Shark Boy on all of his socials. So we're on day 26, nearing the end. I don't mind how I drew the eyes. I think they look just fine. But I mean, it was just kind of simple. I was tired. Then we've got onion was the word, so I thought this burning building, the smoke looked like an onion, and of course Harlem has to point it out kind of inappropriately. People are dying, Kim! Anyway, yeah, this next page here, I like the composition with all four of them. In case it wasn't clear, they went to the wreckage of where the burned building is, and she finds the skeletal remains. I wanted to give a feeling with this dialogue that this is unfortunately a normal occurrence, but this is kind of showing the need as to why Azda had to collect these monsters. And then that continues to this page spread here. She really relies on Harlem, but Harlem is very tender with her. Kizumi and Nagamo, on the other hand, have always got something else going on. Harlem kind of devotes most of his energy to her. And then this one, the house should have been vacant. I wanted to show him clutching his stomach where he got the big gash. Maybe he got it from the fireflies. I don't know. We'll have to find out and see. And we're on to the last page. I wanted to give a feeling of movement, that they're walking away, they're leaving it, and they're going back to where they were. There's nothing they can do right now. And with that, I can't do anything else because Inktober 2025 is done. I can't believe I made it. I'm happy that I tried this out. Some things that I'm taking away from this is that because it was in this weird limbo of prompt-driven versus comic-driven, some of the pages I wasn't super happy with. I would have done them different had I had more time, but I'm glad to have that opportunity to reflect back and see that. The other thing I would say is if you get behind, don't give up. Keep on trying. Maybe you need a break, but keep on going. Go with your gut, go with your plan, and do your best. You'll surprise yourself, you really will. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey. Thank you for watching the video. Please consider subscribing, like the video, leave a comment. Tell me what your favorite page was. I'm curious because I'm totally biased. Until next time, stay safe, create art, go eat ice cream, and have a fantastic rest of your day. Bye.